So let's take a look at how we can use the concept of guess and check to help us write equations. So here we've got this word problem. Noel is 3 years older than Brigitte. The sum of their ages is 21. How old are each of them? We're going to use a guess and check table that's going to help us create an equation for the situation. And then now that we know how to solve equations, we'll use that to find their ages. All right, so the basic idea here is just like the title says. We're going to use the guess and check method to figure out what the equation will be. So think about how you'd normally go about guessing and checking. You'd probably pick one of these two, Noel or Brigitte. I'm just going to pick Noel. Noel's going to be Noel's age is going to be my guess. And so let's just say I guess he's 10 years old. Okay. So then I'd go back to the problem and I would just logically think to myself, all right, well, how can I check to see that this is the right answer or not? So if I look back at the problem, Noel is 3 years older than Brigitte. Not writing. What I would do is go back to here, and I'd then make a column for Brigitte, and then figure her age out. Noel is 3 years older than Brigitte, so if Noel is 10, then this would be 10 minus 3. And so that'd make Brigitte 7. Okay, so now I've got their ages. So now what I need to do is I need to check to see, well, it says here the sum of their ages is 21. So what I want to do is I want to sum up their ages. So I've got Noel, who's 10, plus Brigitte, who is 10 minus 3, which was 7. And this would, let's see, add up to 17. Okay, so now I check my answer. The check I was hoping for was 21. Okay, but this answer is incorrect, and not only that, it's too low. Now, the thing to think about here is this, that whether I got the answer right or wrong really isn't important. It's this process of mapping out the guess and check as a table in an organized manner, because this is what's going to help us start to learn how to take this word problem and to write it as an equation. So don't focus so much on getting the right or wrong answers. Focus on the process of your guess and check procedure. Okay, now the reason why we wrote that as a table, because often with guess and check, we don't get it right the first time. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back and make another guess. Now, again, the guess itself doesn't matter. What we care about is the process. So again, just off the top of my head, I'm going to guess 15. Since our last guess was too low, we'll go 15. All right, now notice the process here. We start off by guessing Noel's age. Noel is our guess. We then go to Brigitte, who her information is related to Noel's. Noel is 3 years older than Brigitte, so what we would do is whatever we guess for Noel, we subtract 3, which would give us 12. All right, so now we've got both their ages. The thing we have to check for is to see, does the sum of their ages equal 21? So we take Noel's age, and I understand some people probably looking at this video and thinking, well, like up here, why doesn't he write the 12 next? You'll notice here what I'm going to write is 15 minus 3. Okay, and that'll become clear a little later on when we get to the equation. Okay, so I could put here 15 plus 12, but this is going to help later. All right, so anyways, this is 12, 15 plus 12, 27. Too high. But once again, what I want you paying attention to is the fact that what we did here in each column was the same process over and over. We made a guess for Noel's age. To find Brigitte's age, we subtracted 3 from Noel's age. We then took Noel's age and Brigitte's age and added them up, and we were looking to see would that equal 21. Okay. Now, just to get my point across here, I am going to make one more guess. It's still going to be the wrong guess because, again, I want you guys focused on the fact is what we're trying to do is establish a pattern here, and we could really care less at this point what's the right answer. So let's guess 14. So Noel's 14, Brigitte is 14 minus 3, which is 11. So here we sum up their ages, 14 plus 14 minus 3. Oops. Which equals 25, which is still too high. Okay, but what's important here is I've made 3 guesses. Okay, and that's what I'd like to see in your work. I'd like you to make 3 guesses, right or wrong. Even if you hit the right guess, make another guess even though you're going to get a wrong answer. Because what's important here is, again, establishing that pattern. Now, here's where the equation piece comes in. To make the equation, what we're going to do is this. We're going to follow this exact same procedure, but here's where we're going to start putting in unknown variables to represent certain bits of info. Okay, so our guess was Noel's age. That's where we're going to fit in our variable. So since we don't exactly know Noel's age yet, we're going to call it n. Now everything from this point on is based on the pattern we established up here. To find Brigitte's age, each time we took Noel's age and subtracted 3. 10 minus 3, 15 minus 3, 14 minus 3. So now that we're representing Noel's age as n, we're just going to make Brigitte's age n minus 3. Okay, and that will deal with the fact that right here, Noel is 3 years older than Brigitte. So to get Brigitte's age, we just subtract 3. Now, the next part, the sum of their ages, well, what we did each time was this. We took Noel's age, which was n. We took Brigitte's age, which, what we're representing it with is n minus 3. Okay, and this is where I want you to see it's the same as what we established earlier. On the first one, Noel's age was 10. Brigitte's age was 10 minus 3. Then we guessed 15, 15 minus 3. 14, 14 minus 3. So here now we've got n, which represents Noel's age, and we've got n minus 3, which represents Brigitte's age. All right, now what we wanted this to equal was 21. So I'm going to drop that answer down here. And so what we get in these last 2 columns is our equation. This, if I put an equal sign right here, represents everything in the word problem. We've got Noel's age plus Brigitte's age, where Brigitte is 3 years younger than Noel, and the sum of their ages added together is 21. And so now we've got an equation we can solve. And this is the method called guess and check. Okay, and in this part, we already know how to do it. We've been practicing solving equations. So here, the parentheses, there's only a plus sign here, so there's nothing to distribute, so we can just ignore the parentheses. And we've got n plus n, our like terms, so let's put those together. That's 2n minus 3. And then if I follow my roadmap, the roadmap would tell me to start off by getting rid of the subtract 3 by adding 3. I get 2n equals, what is that, 24. And then the roadmap would tell us to divide by 2 to get rid of this multiply by 2. What I do to one side, do the other. And we get Noel's age is 12. Which means if we go back here, then Brigitte must be, so he's 12 and she would be 9. 12 plus 9 is 21, and everything checks out. All right, so this is what we're going to focus on, is this idea of how would you normally go about this using the old guess and check method, writing it out as a table so that we can see the pattern of what we're doing, and then use that pattern to establish an equation that we can solve for the answer. Eventually, we'll get good enough at this that a lot of people can just jump straight from the word problem to the equation, but at this point, we kind of need this bridge to help get us there, this idea of using guess and check to establish this pattern.